Okay, good. Yay. Well, good morning and welcome to algebra. Oh, I feel you, Nola. I am tired too. Yes, I'm teaching outside today because I have some people inside my house working on a bathroom and it is very loud in there. So, um, all right. Well, I am going to, I know there's not many of us, so probably just some of our friends are moving a little slow this morning. But what I'm going to do, it is so pretty. Thank you. I'm enjoying it. It's a little hot, but that's okay. I'm going to put up a poll real quick and y'all tell me how you are feeling about being back in school. Are you excited? Green check. Are you slowly hanging on to the last little bit of summer? Yeah, I think I'm kind of with y'all. I really, really love summer. I love getting to travel, but I am very excited to be back. Yay. Thank y'all for participating. I appreciate that. All right. Well, I want to make sure that I'm being respectful of your time today. So I'm going to go ahead and get started, and we are going to go through our orientation for the course. And then what I'm going to do is just do a quick little, some review problems from what you have learned in 8th grade. Um, so it'll be just a quick review. It should be things that you know, and most of it, if you've been doing the homework in class, it'll seem pretty easy. So first things first, my name is Mrs. Smith. I'm going to be your algebra teacher this year, and I am so excited to be your algebra teacher. I know that some of you probably really hate math and you've already decided that you are not going to enjoy algebra. That's okay. I'm going to try to change your mind. And for those of you that have enjoyed math up until this point, I think you're really going to like algebra. I think you're going to really start to see how it relates to the real world. And you'll start to see, why it's important and how you can use it in your future career. So I actually live in Galveston. So I live on the island. This is my 5th year as a teacher. This is my 3rd year online and 3rd year at Tops. And fun fact, I used to be a college softball coach, but I now have a 2-year-old and he keeps me pretty busy. So I am teaching math. All right, so just some course expectations, things to help you be successful in the course. Make sure that you log into your algebra course every single day. So the first thing that I would do is check your course announcements daily. So you'll see a announcement in the course and it says this week in algebra. And let me see if I can get to my point. Here we go. So it'll look kind of like this here. It says this week in algebra. So it will have the date and then it will have like the lesson or the module that we're working on. So that way, if you log in today and you're like, I don't really know what I'm supposed to be doing, you can look. It's supposed to be on 1.04 and then head over there. Also on the far right side, you will see it says graded items due. So this will tell you every day, like you either have a quiz that's for a grade, you have a homework that's for a grade, or it'll say none. And that just means you don't have anything graded that's due that day, but still go to the module. So that's check announcements. Also complete the content listed in the announcements. Video lesson for you. And I know that in the past, some of the video lessons were not great. And so I want to encourage y'all to really check them out because high school is going to be a lot different than middle school. And so we only meet together once a week for 45 minutes. And so it doesn't seem like a lot. It's not a lot. But I am still, what I did is I went into your course and every single lesson that was in there, there was like a K-12 standard recorded video and I deleted those and I'm deleting. Okay, so in theory, it live session like we're in right now. But I want to encourage you to go and check out those videos because they're personally created by me, and they are tailored to what will be on your test and what will be on the STAR test. Okay, so I tried to keep them all under like 10 to 15 minutes, so it's not super long. And a lot of them, I will show you problems that are going to be on the test in the course every single day. And just plan to spend 10 to 15 minutes watching your videos. And then you can head right over to get your homework done right after that. All right, so in your course, you get 3 attempts on every quiz. You get 2 attempts on every test, and then unlimited attempts on your homework and the written part of your test. So we have some written parts. We have a multiple choice section of each unit test, and then we have a written part where you're going to go in class kick and write out your work on the slides. And you can resubmit and edit and resubmit again. You can do that as many times as you want until you get the grade that you're happy with. So when you have the 3 attempts on the quizzes, for quizzes, what I would do is take your first attempt. If you miss like 1 or 2 questions, but you understand why you missed them, I would take an attempt. If you're still not happy with your grade or you're not understanding why you're missing, I would go back and watch videos, or that's when I would send me an email and we can try to get set up in a one-on-one tutoring session and get your questions answered. Same for tests. If after the first time you take your test, you review it, go through the questions and see if you can answer it, then send me an email so that I can help walk you through that. All right, so what goes in a grade book? We have quizzes that go in the grade book and your tests, and then homework assignments that are in class kick. And then you have some projects. They're not really big projects, but they might just be like a writing assignment, something like that. All right, so let's go on to the next slide. All right, so here's our schedule for this year. And actually Friday is not on here, but I'll go over Fridays too. So on Mondays, some of y'all will be invited to a small group on Mondays from 10 to 10:45. This small group is basically, I look at some sort of quiz or test or homework that maybe you didn't quite master. And so then that on Monday or during small groups, what we'll do is we'll just go over, I'll reteach and we'll go over that standard, and then you'll get a chance to go back and retake that quiz so that you can get a better grade and understand it. So the small groups are really important. We can't have more than 25 people in there. So it's really cool. It's a really good opportunity for you to get to just come in and get some work done, get a little extra help, and then get an additional attempt on your quiz or test. So then Tuesday from 10 to 10:45 is when I meet with the A through M last names. And then Wednesday, it's like today, I'm meeting with y'all from 10 to 10:45. Thursday is another small group from 10 to 10:45. And then Fridays also, so there's 4 total small groups. Fridays are from 9 to 9:45 and 10 to 10:45. So those are the small group opportunities. If you're invited to a small group and you don't have another class at that time, you are expected to come. If you have another class, please email me so that way I can get you in a small group time that works for you. All right, so I also have some one-on-one tutoring times. So you will use the link in the course to sign up for my tutoring time. So I want to make sure that I try to keep it one-on-one or like 1 or 2 people. So please use the link. That way I can make sure that you're getting your specific questions answered and there's not too many people in there. So the tutoring times are going to be Monday and Tuesday from 11 to 11:45, and then Wednesday from 9 to 10. And then I also have some office hours. So office hours are, I'll be in the classroom and you can just come and drop in. You don't have to make an appointment, but there may be more than there may be 20 people in there. So I can't guarantee you'll get your question answered. So one-on-one's always a little bit better because it guarantees you're going to have some time to ask me the questions that you personally need. All right, so there's a couple ways to get help in the class. Um, so first you can, the first thing I would recommend is always complete the module. Okay, so like if you email me and you say, hey, I'm not really understanding why I failed 1.03 quiz, I'll just tell you the very first thing I'm going to do is go into the course and see how long you spent on that module. So if I know there's a 15-minute video in there and you didn't visit it or you only spent 2 minutes, then I'm going to say, hey, before we meet, I need you to go back and watch this video, because the videos are really helpful, and it's great that you can pause them, take notes, you can go at your own pace. Second thing is attend all whole groups and small groups. You can also use TutorMe. It's a 24/7 tutoring resource that we give y'all. For small questions, like if it's just like a, can you please explain this problem, or like, I'm not really sure what the first step is, that can always be sent in an email, and I can either email, like type it out back to you, or if you need a small little tutorial video, I can make one for you and help you that way if tutoring isn't working out, or it's just like you just have one quick question. And then also you can attend office hours or tutoring with me. Okay, so I'm gonna go back. I'm going to open the chat back up real quick. So does anyone have any questions about the course or anything? I'm going to go over grading here in just a second. But before I do, does anyone have any questions for me so far? Okay, good, good. All right, good deal. Well, what I'm going to do now is talk about some, just real quick, our grading. So I am probably the most on top of grading teacher you're going to meet or have. The reason for that is um, basically I don't wait until the end of the week to put in all your zeros for the week, because so we have to put zeros in by Thursday. And let's say that I waited until Thursday this week to put zeros in. So you would wake up on Friday morning and you would have a zero for your homework, your quiz, and your beginning of the year assessment. So all of a sudden you have 5 zeros and 5 assignments that you have to now do over the weekend or on Friday. And so I like to put the zeros in the day that it's due. So on Monday, when we had the homework due, I went ahead at 4 o'clock and I went in and I put in zeros for everybody that had not done it, and I put in the grades for everyone that had. And so basically that just keeps you hey, Micah, will you send me an email and then send me a picture of what's going on with your assessment, please? But anyways, that just helps to keep y'all on track, keep you from falling behind. And then I know that a lot of y'all have parents that are checking up on your grades, and so I don't want to just all of a sudden 5 zeros. So maybe you just forgot one day, and like usually if I put it in the grade book, y'all will see that, or your parents will see that your grade has dropped, and then you'll go in right away and get that done. So that's kind of how I work on the grading and the zeros. So if, with all that being said, if, for instance, I put in zeros on Monday for the 1.03 homework, so if you then go in Monday night and say, like, hey, I went in and did it on Monday night, but it's still a zero. So if it's considered late, like you turned it in after I'd already put in a zero, give me at least 2 or 3 days to get that graded. Because like Tuesday, then I was going in and putting zeros in for the quiz. So there's always something for me to be grading. So I usually try to do a bunch of catch up late work grading, like Thursday at the end of the week before I put in the zeros for that day. So if you did the homework or you did a test or resubmission and I haven't graded it in 1 or 2 days, always send an email and just say, hey, I just turned this in. Would you please grade it when you get a chance? Okay. I promise I'm trying to stay on top of the grading, but I have a lot of students and a lot of things to grade. So Nate, awesome. Will you send me an email? I don't know off the top of my head. I feel like I maybe put your grade in last night. I remember doing that maybe, but check your grade book and see if it's still a 0. And if it is, just send me an email reminder and I'll find it, okay? All right, so that is all that I have for you for your orientation and just about the course. Do we have any questions before we do a quick little review? Okay, well, can anyone tell me what this answer is? This is kind of an easy one. Yeah, good, Micah, good. Good, Nate. Yeah, good, y'all. Okay, so this equals 3. Perfect. So what I want to tell y'all is, now that we're in algebra, there are some things that you have learned up until this point, and they're kind of ingrained in your head, and we have to start changing the way we read some of the math texts and problems. And so a lot of you probably know that this fraction sign means to divide, but you would probably read this as 6/2. And what I want you to start thinking of when you see a fraction is, I want you to use the word divided. So I want you to think that this says, what does 6 divided by 2 equal? And I think you will see in the next couple of slides why we want to start reading that as divided by. Okay. All right, this is another one. I'm going to give you a hint up top. This is going back to our order of operations. So, y'all, I'm going to give y'all a minute to work this out. But can you tell me, what does 2 minus 3 times 2 plus 4 equal? And don't forget your order of operations. We've already got some varying answers. That's okay. That's good. I wanted to have some varying answers because that's exactly why we're doing this. Good, Allie. Good. Good, y'all. Good, Geo. Okay, good. So if you have -16, you are on the right track. So let's go over how did we get there. So first, the first letter in PEMDAS, P, stands for parentheses. So I look to see if anything inside my parentheses can be combined or simplified, and it can. So everything is going to stay the same except for in my parentheses, I'm going to have 2 plus 4, which is 6. Okay, I'm going to rewrite this because that is supposed to be a 3. Okay, so now where a lot of you, if you got -6, what happened was you went ahead and did 2 minus 3, and then you multiplied that. But remember that we did parentheses, we don't have exponents. Multiplication and division come next. So this 3 right next to the parentheses here, that indicates that we are multiplying. So we have to do that first, and then we'll get to our subtraction. So I'm going to leave my 2 and the minus sign. 3 times 6 is 18. So now I do 2 minus 18, which is -16. Any questions about any of those steps or why I did them in that order, anything like that? All right, good deal. Okay, so let's think here of some opposites. So I want you to think, this is going to kind of lead into our next section of solving equations. So when we're solving equations, oh, how is it a negative? Okay, let me go back real quick. So I did 2 minus 18. So I have positive 2, and I'm going to take 18 away from that. So it becomes a negative number. All right. So let's talk about some opposites. We call these opposites or inverse operations. So the opposite of addition, or if we have addition happening and we want to undo it, we're going to use subtraction. So if we have a positive number and we want to get rid of that positive number, we're going to subtract that number. And And then the opposite, like if we have subtraction, if we have a -2 and we want to get rid of it, we're going to use addition to get rid of that. The inverse operation, or the opposite of multiplication, is going to be division. And then the opposite of division is going to be multiplication. So that was probably easy. Y'all were probably like, that's not a hard question. Good. I'm glad it wasn't hard. So today, with that in mind, what we're going to do is just review working on solving linear equations with one variable. And we are going to solve them. We're going to get to solving with variables on both sides of the equation as well, hopefully. All right, so we have some rules for solving one-step and multi-step equations. So the first and maybe most important rule is whatever you do to one side. So if I add 2 to the left side of the equal sign, I have to add 2 to the right side. Okay, so whatever you do to one side, you have to do to the other. Okay, so just think about if it was like a scale, okay, and I had 5 pounds and 5 pounds on both sides, so they were even. If I added a pound on the left side, I'd have to add a pound on the right side for them to still be equal. So you want to think of equal signs as a scale. You want to keep it equal. All right, so then the next thing that you're going to do is simplify the equation as much as you can. So this is kind of referring to combining like terms. So if you have a variable like 2x plus 3x, you're going to combine those to get 5x. Same if you just have like 2 plus 3, you're going to combine to get 5. All right, this is kind of the reason we did some warm-up questions with PEMDAS is to solve an equation, you are going to use PEMDAS backwards. So we're actually going to deal with addition and subtraction first. So we're going to find our variable, it's usually x, and we're going to say, okay, what's happening? Okay, it's being multiplied and subtracting 2. So we're going to undo the subtraction or addition first. Then we're going to undo the multiplication or the division second. Okay, so we're working backwards from PEMDAS. Another way you can think about it is you're unwrapping your present at first, then you'll deal directly with x. So here's what I mean by that. Let's look at this equation on the left. I have -6 plus x equals 14. All right, so I'm going to find my variable. That would be x. And I'm going to ask myself, what's happening to x? Well, I have a -6 being added to it. AJ, we're learning about solving equations. This is algebra. All right, so I have a -6, and when we were warming up, we were going over our inverse operations or our opposites. So to get rid of a -6, I'm going to add 6. And remember, my first rule of solving equations is whatever I do to one side, I have to do to the other. So I'm going to add 6 to both sides. Alrighty, so on the left-hand side, I'm left with x. On the right-hand side, I have 14 plus 6, which is 20. Good. All right, so the cool thing with algebra is that there's almost always a way that you can check your answer to make sure you're right. So what I'm saying here is we are saying x is 20. So I'm going to go back to my original equation, which was -6 plus x equals 14. And I'm going to plug in that 20 instead of my x. And I want to make sure I get a true statement. So -6 plus 20 is 14. So does 14 equal 14? Yes, it does. So I know that 20 is my correct answer. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at this problem on the right. I have 6 plus x equals 14. So I find my variable x and I ask myself, what's happening to it? Well, it's getting 6 added to it. So to undo adding 6, I'm going to do the opposite, which is subtract 6. 6 minus 6 would be 0. So I get x equals 14 minus 6 is going to be 8. Any questions on solving one-step addition or subtraction equations? Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about multiplication and division. So, kind of like at the beginning of class, how we were reading 6 over 2, we wanted to change our minds to read that as 6 divided by 2. We're also going to start training our minds. When we see this 15x, we want to see that as we want to read it as 15 times x. Okay, so that way when I read it as 15 times x, that gives me, my brain automatically says, oh, times. Okay, that's multiplication. So how do I undo multiplying? I'm going to divide. So now I'm going to get x equals negative 45 divided by 15 would be negative 3. Yeah, good, Maya. All right, so now let's talk about this problem on the right. This is x divided by 15. So another way to write this is 1x over 15. So this is division. So x is being divided by 15. The way that we undo division is by multiplying. So what we're actually going to do is multiply by the reciprocal. I'm going to write that up here. Reciprocal. Reciprocal means we're just going to flip the top and bottom of our fraction. So this was 1 over 15, 1 divided by 15. Now I'm going to multiply it by 15 over 1, or 15 divided by 1 on both sides. Okay, and if it doesn't have a number on the top or bottom, you can assume that that number is 1. So these are going to cancel, and I'm left with x equals. On the right-hand side, I'm just going to multiply straight across. Negative 45 times 15 should be negative 675. Okay, I'm going to put up a poll real quick. Y'all tell me how you're feeling about this so far. Green is like, yep, this is a review. Yellow is like, okay, now it's kind of coming back to me. And red is like, I'm pretty lost. So if you're feeling like you're in the red zone, that is totally okay. I actually made some help videos for you that I would love to share. So if you are in the red, or if you're in yellow or green and you would like a help video that just goes over this in a little more detail, will you go ahead and send me an email? I'm going to write my email right here, K.A. Smith, and then it'll be at texasonlineprep.org. Whoops, that's an E. Okay, there we go. Oh my goodness, this is bad. So just go ahead right now if you want to receive that extra help video. Just email me and say I want to receive the extra help video that you mentioned in class, and I will get that sent out to you when class is over. Okay, so I want to make sure that if you're feeling a little bit lost, this is all technically review, but I don't just want to leave you in the dust at the start of the semester. So I have a couple review videos that I think will help you. Alrighty. So, do I have anybody that would want to try and work these problems for me on the board? If you would like to try, will you raise your hand? Awesome. Did I say that right?
Yes.
Anyone else? Okay, awesome, AJ. I'm going to let you work this one, AJ, okay? So if y'all will just show your work. If you're not working the problems on the board, I would like for you to be working them on your own minute and a half to solve. that in an email, because then I can email it to you, right back to you. All right, so Amari, you're doing awesome. So what Amari did, I'm just gonna make a little note over here so that everyone can see that you did on both sides. So what Amari did was we had x divided by 6.1, and to undo division, we're gonna multiply by 6.1 on both sides. So he got 109.8. Yay, y'all talking how awesome he did. Thank you so much for volunteering. That was really great. I appreciate it. Believe it or not, I don't like to have to do all the work. I like to see y'all's work. All right, AJ, you're doing. So we just talked about reciprocal on the last problem. So we had 2/3 times x. So to get rid of that 2/3, we're going to multiply by the reciprocal. So we're going to flip it, and we're going to multiply by 3/2 on both sides. Yes, AJ, you did so awesome. I'm going to highlight where he did that. You did awesome. Good, awesome, excellent. So for those of you following along, what AJ did was he did -14 times 3. That gives -42. And then 1 times 2 is 2. So then what we want to do is go ahead and divide. So -42 divided by 2 is going to be -20. Oh, I'm sorry, AJ, what she did was -42 divided by 2. So then she got -21. AJ, great job. That was a tough one. Y'all tell AJ, great job. That was a tough problem, but you rocked it. No problem. It's good. Through these two problems. But before I do, I want you to look at these two problems. Look at the one on the left and look at the one on the right. Can you tell me what the difference in these two problems is? Go ahead and type it in the chat. Okay, yeah, okay, good. So y'all are noticing that there's clearly a difference. So on this first one, what you will see is we have 9n plus 7n equals 16. This one, we're going to go ahead and I'm going to write CLT, but that means combine like terms. So we have 9n plus 7n. They both have n as a variable. So that means we can add them. 9 plus 7 would be 16. So we get 16n equals 16. Good, Nate. And then I'm going to undo. So 16 times n equals 16. I'm going to undo multiplication by dividing. So I get n equals 1. What you will notice on this second one is that I have 9n and 7n, but they're not on the same side of the equal sign. 9n equals 7n plus 16. So before I can combine my like terms, I have to get them on the same side. So I need to figure out, how do I get a positive 7n? How do I move that to the other side? Anyone have any ideas? What should I do? Good. Very good, Marcos. Good, Amari. Good, AJ. I'm going to subtract 7n. Make sure you keep your n there. I'm going to subtract 7n from both sides. And for some people, it helps to draw a line down the middle of your equal sign. so that you know that you're doing it on both sides of the line and keeping your line straight. So 9n minus 7n, 9 minus 7 is going to give me 2. So I get 2 times n. 7 minus 7 is 0, so I'm left with 16. And then from here, it's just a one-step equation. I'm going to divide everything by 2. So n equals 8. So now we're kind of stepping into a higher level problem. Sometimes we're going to have our variables on the same side, and our first step is going to be to combine like terms. Sometimes they're not going to be on the same side, and we're going to have to do inverse operations, which means we're going to move our variable to the other side. All right, so I want to go through these problems. I'm going to number them. Alrighty, so for each equation, determine if you are going to combine like terms or use inverse operations first. So for instance, if we look at number 1, I have y equals 57 minus 2y. So before I can combine my y's, they have to be on the same side. So I would have to add 2y to get rid of this negative 2y. So I'm going to use an inverse there. So y'all tell me for number 2, what do you think I'm going to do first? Can I combine right away, or will I need to use inverse operations? Good. Exactly. I'll need to use inverse. You're right. What about number 3? Good, good, good. I'm going to combine right away. And number 4? Good. Y'all are not getting tricked at all. Good job. Number 5? Yeah, so inverse means to move, to do the opposite of what's happening. So for instance, on number 1, we have negative 2y. Whoops, where's my, there we go. Negative 2y. So the inverse means I'm going to add 2y to get it on the other side. Good question. All right, number 5. What do y'all think for number 5? Inverse or combine? Yeah, good, Maya. Combine. And number 6. What do y'all think? Very good. Inverse. Awesome. Awesome, awesome. Okay. Well, I'm trying to go to my next slide. All righty. So what we're going to do is we're going to do this one on the left together, and then the one on the right, you are going to do on your own, and that's going to be the last problem we have for today. So let's look at the one on the left. We have 2 times y minus 8 equals 3y. So can someone tell me, what do you think my first step might be? So I know I have variables on opposite sides, so I need to do the inverse, but there's one thing I need to do first.
Distribute.
Awesome. Good, AJ. Parentheses, distribute. Exactly. This 2 is right next to this parentheses, which means I'm going to distribute. Distribute is a fancy word for multiply. So I have to distribute or multiply everything inside the parentheses by 2. So 2 times y gives me 2y. 2 times negative 8 gives me negative 16. And that's going to equal 3 times y. Did I lose anybody on that step there before we keep going? Okay, Nate, so which number has you confused? What whole thing? Like how I got 2y minus 16? Is that what you mean? All right, so this number 2 is right next to the parentheses. Do you see that? It's 2 and then parentheses y minus 8. Okay, so anytime we have a number right next to parentheses, that means that we're going to multiply. So what is 2 times y? 2 times y, Nate, would be 2y. And then what is 2 times negative 8? It's negative 16. Yep, negative. So that's how I got this 2y and the negative 16. All right, so now we're back to where we were using our inverse. So I have 2y on the left and 3y on the right. So what I'm going to do is move my 2y over. So it was a positive 2y. So to move it, I need to do the opposite. So I'm going to subtract 2y from both sides. On the left-hand side, 2y minus 2y is 0. So I'm just left with negative 16. On the right, 3 minus 2 is 1. So I get 1y, or just y. And that's my answer. Okay, so what I want to do to finish out this class is y'all are going to work this problem here on your own. When you think you've got the answer, send it to me in a private message under questions and answers. If you are correct, I will let you know that you're correct and you are free to go. If you are not correct, I'm going to work this out in 2 minutes. And so I would like for you to stay and watch me explain how to solve this problem. So y'all go ahead. Yeah, great job, Stevie. You're good to go. Good, Adler. You're good to go. Thank you. You too. Okay, close. Amare, good job. You are good to go. Bye, Adler. Good, Nate. You got it. Nice. Valerie, good job. All right, so I'll do the first step here for us. You could go either way on moving your variable. So I would subtract x. So you would get 59. Good, Sanaya. That's great. 59 equals 2. And then we have negative 2 minus 1. So that's actually going to be negative 3. So negative 3x. Now what I'm going to do is subtract 2 from both sides. So 57 equals negative 3x. Merely close. You just didn't divide by your negative 3. Good, Geo. So now I'm going to divide by negative 3. And I get x equals negative 19. And that is it.